Hello YouTube and welcome to another moto vlog coming at you again from my condo in Sterling, Virginia. Here we are on the 12th, it is the 15th, 3 days later, and it is the last piece of recorded footage I have that I have not made a video for. So this would make me fully caught up on the 15th here, and it's pretty cool. So right at the start, I remember when I was doing the guest video and I was talking about passing on the right, and I go and do it right there, right at the start of the video. Wow. Thought I wasn't going to say anything. Yeah, well, there I go. And I mean, this isn't exactly a highway, but still, passing on the right. And it was kind of between two cars, too. And I'm trapping myself between this truck and these other guys here that are ahead of me. Leaving really good distance there, though. You see how far away I stayed. I definitely did that one on purpose. So if someone's coming up behind me, I have a good escape route. Like, I don't have to take a really steep turn to get out of the way. I can take a more shallow turn and accelerate harder. And I don't know, worst case scenario, you're a little more stable, you know, on the bike, trying to get out of that situation quickly, where you might, you know, whiskey throttle, dump the clutch, you know, do a wheelie into getting ran over by a car or something awful. Yeah, this is nothing too fancy on this one again. Just like all my old stuff, you know, just riding around. So as you can see, I'm going up here to Georgetown Pike, and I'm just going to be riding around here, the usual route. And then I go and take the interstate and the toll road back, because I went out to do something for a buddy who lives on inside the Beltway, and I took this route. You know, I could have gone other ways. It doesn't really matter, but I ended up doing this and then taking, you know, I could have taken Georgetown Pike back, right? But or whatever this road is, 167. 193? 193? Dude, I don't know the road names. There's too damn many roads. You see me staring like I'm looking at this like it's real life, and I'm like waiting. Can I turn now? And concentrating. We are here. I mean, I'm like running out of stuff to say. I mean, I think I've hit my limit with maybe even the last video, guys. So I don't know what to say. If you're gonna listen, there's probably gonna be a little less talking on this one. Another video, another excuse. I can at least say that is the way it usually goes. So maybe I am back to normal. I'm trying out this GPS. I don't know if you noticed this yet on the bottom right corner of the screen. It's not very. I'm trying different things. In a lot of my videos, you'll hear me talking about it. Pretty much any video that has data in it, I talk about how I got the data and what I think about it. Because yeah, I mean I don't know. I studied shit similar to that in college, and about, you know, trusting data and maybe not mathematically, but like, you know, how do you determine how trustworthy data is? You can't, you know, interview a GoPro like you interview a murder suspect or something. I don't know. Not that I've done that either, but like, you can't like, you know, question a GoPro, right? The only questions you can ask of it are of the data that it's already been generated, right? So you can extract that off the GoPro, and then it's like you try to analyze this. And I use the Dashware software. I'm not like writing my own software to do this, or, you know, do anything too crazy. I just use Dashware and try to sync it up so it looks okay. They have some basic instructions for how to do it. It's not intuitive, I'll tell you that. If you just open the program without reading the manual, you're not going to do a very good job. There's just a couple little things you need to know, and they're not intuitive. And but even when you do that, the GoPro's GPS, I mean, if you think about what GPS is doing and how it works and what a GoPro is and how it works, Yeah, I mean, I think you'll understand that the data coming off this thing, especially when it's attached to your helmet and like the woods, other stuff like this situation here, it's just not that great. If you want better results from your GPS data, like again, and I haven't tried this or anything, but like a hardwired GPS unit is something that's connected to your vehicle's battery is gonna do a lot better. Even if it has its own battery too as backup or something, but something that like expects you to have it plugged in is going to do a lot better because it's going to draw more power. It's going to operate a much higher gain and lower noise antenna than something like the GoPro would, and this will allow it to gather all those signals it needs from outer frickin' space and turn them into accurate GPS data. So yeah. It's not, and these things are going to cost more because it's a niche product, and the parts are a little more expensive, and whatever, you're paying for the research and development, and the fact that they're they're making these things for motorcycle racers or car racers or whatever. There is a decent amount of development. GPS data is wonky, like just the stuff you get straight out of the antennas is insane, and the stuff you're getting out of like GPS units, the chips or whatever, if it's integrated into your system of a chip, the data you're getting out of that is still difficult to deal with. And what we're seeing here is the data, it's just I think is just straight raw data. Like we could up the decimals, like we could churn miles per hour, like if you're looking at this 43 miles per hour, right? We could turn that into, like, I'm pretty sure it's like a floating point number, so we could get a bunch of decimals out of that. And that's all useless information, in my opinion. Absolutely useless. Like, I would even go as far as saying, like, 46, like that's 6 and 46 on a GoPro, you can't trust that. You absolutely can't trust it, especially if you're changing elevation or changing direction. And especially if there's stuff like this, like trees, leaves, stuff that's covering it, thicker objects that could mess with the signals. Tunnels, of course, will completely kill it. So, yeah, when you look at the GPS on your phone, like with Google Maps, that's most people's experience with GPS. I know that's my primary experience with it. When I'm interacting with the data, don't be fooled. A lot of programs are taking your GPS data and using it to analyze you and stuff. But when you're actually physically, when you're actually interacting with it, in like real time, normally it's with like Google Maps or OpenStreetMaps or something along those lines, right? Like navigation. And those use algorithms to kind of, they recognize what I'm saying, right? That the GPS data is pretty bad. So they use algorithms to smooth it out and then overlay it onto the road. So like even if it looks like you're not driving on the road, if you're going 45 miles an hour, 10 feet next to the road, they're like, yeah, he's probably on the road. let's just assume he's on the road, you know what I mean? And it can be, the GPS data can be very precise, but it's just, you can't trust it, especially like, again, GoPro, not so great. A modern phone is not too bad in the right conditions, but it can be kind of useless depending on what you're looking for in the wrong conditions. But when you're doing navigation, the level of precision isn't that high. You need to know things well enough in advance so that you can make the right decision. Right? You want to make a right or a left or go straight, that kind of thing. What lane do I want to be in? That's your main goal. Like exactly how fast you're going and exactly where you are on the map down to, again, we're doing 24 frames per second. So imagine trying to know exactly where you are on the planet 24 times plus a second and then interpolating all that data into, speed and distance and all this other bullshit. And, yeah. The GPS unit has a hard job, so it's tough to trust. Like, if I were the type of person, I'll give this advice to anyone. If you were the type of person to make a YouTube video and actually want to use GPS data for anything, yeah, you definitely want to start. You would definitely want to consider, start looking into data logging and stuff, because you can then get all the data from your bike, right? You're gonna have a dedicated GPS unit for that and whatever, great. But then you're also gonna get data out of the ECU of the bike. So that's pretty cool too. Like throttle and brake, front brake, rear brake, I think. Maybe. I'm not sure how much data bikes give you nowadays. But you'll at least get throttle in a ride-by-wire bike, and you should get brake, at least front brake. Gear maybe? I don't know. Probably, right? You probably get all kinds of crazy stuff. Lean angle, depending on the bike maybe. I'm talking about like on the GS, because the GS doesn't have a whole lot of that fancy stuff that sports bikes have. If I were to buy a data logger, it'd have to be like a generic one. And I think even getting the data out of the ECU would be a pain, and I don't think I would be able to get, you know, tons of performance data. You know, more maybe like telemetry about like the engine, stuff like that. It's hard to say. I know these bikes. I think these bikes have to have OBD2, so you can get. That's what I'm saying. You can get that data and then combine that with GPS data from a dedicated unit, and you can get something pretty reasonable. This is still very expensive, and then you have to synchronize it with your GoPro, which isn't the easiest thing in the world. And it makes me always wonder, like, if maybe you want to start looking into a different style of camera. I really want to look at some of these higher end cameras with like a pancake, like a wide angle pancake lens or something, and they're so huge, you know. It'd be nice if they made like something like a GoPro, but it had real video features, like external recording and external mics, and just like a little less setup for like the ultimate in ruggedness, and a little more setup to have external like professional level camera features. I think the problem is the camera like that would be $1,500 to $2,000, and it's probably more. So I took a little detour here. I got up onto Georgetown Pike again, and then I turned on the Old Dominion Drive, I think, and now I'm making a left off Old Dominion onto whatever this is. I remember just make a left at the light, and then I'm actually using my GPS to find the left I want to make that gets back on the Georgetown Pike. So I'm just adding a little detour to my ride here. Nothing fancy. And I find these things, again, if I somehow have a new member or something, I find the detours using the GPS mapping software, like on my computer. You can use your phone, but I like using the computer better, because you have, because my bike has this Garmin here. You can see it, the little LCD GPS unit that's like impossible to read in the video. It's kind of hard to read in real life too, to be honest with you. Well, anyways, that thing, you can plug it into your computer, and you open up this software called Garmin Basecamp, and that will allow you to make, I would say, almost arbitrarily complicated routes. So what I mean is you can place a large number of points in the route, and then it will do turn-by-turn navigation from point to point, taking you along the route via the road. It's a little weird, like it's an intuitive idea. Unfortunately, the devil can be in the details with these, especially when you're going to areas you have no idea where you are, and then all of a sudden the GPS, the route gets confused, right? And it's telling you to do some nonsense you literally can't do because of the way it's programmed. Yeah, that can be a problem. Look at the GPS here. It says I'm going. Look at that, and I synchronized it. What the heck? Look at the feet. I'm not moving, but I'm descending. How am I doing that? It's weird. And then again, I synchronized this one too. It makes very little sense, especially at low speeds. The GoPro, when it's on your helmet, it definitely gets thrown off big time. There's nothing you can do about that. And I already forgot what I was talking about before. Oh yeah, look at this. This is a nervous situation. See, I took a bad angle here, right? I should have gone to cut through there immediately. Oh, sorry, I touched the microphone if you heard that. I was going to cut through immediately between the truck and the car. Although I don't know, that's a bad situation all around, right? If someone's behind me and not paying attention, that's bad. It's bad news. Anyway, so I'm heading back now. So this is gonna be kind of a. I don't show the whole thing. This is just like some highway stuff. So this is turning on the 495 south, just the regular lanes here. Again, I can't remember what time it was. It was later. It was like after. It was like, well, based on the sun, right? Maybe 4:30, 4 o'clock, 4:30 at this point, I think. It was getting kind of late. Like, yeah, it wasn't going to be bright out for too much longer, another hour or two. Oh well, whatever. But as you can see, there's still, you know, COVID things going on, so the traffic's not as bad as it usually is, but still, you got a little bit of traffic. Yeah, my GPS there was complaining. It's like, oh, this route's gonna have tolls. I'm like, yeah, duh. And I have it set up for that on the bike, because you can bypass it and just always take tolls and not worry about it. But when I ride, a lot of people don't have easy passes on their bikes, and I don't want to stop to pay a toll at a toll booth on a motorcycle if I don't have to. So yeah, I'm just going to avoid it if I can. I'll avoid the tolls. But when I'm by myself on the GS, I have an easy pass in this little bag here that says Touratech. There's like a little top pouch. Like right at on the top layer where it folds apart, there's like a little pouch that an Easy Pass just barely fits in. And so I put my Easy Pass in and rode through one of the ones by my house that actually says if you paid or not, and it said I paid, and I was like, all right. And to be honest, it's worked every time. I'm positive it is worked every single time I've used it, and I hope it keeps working, but we'll see. Yeah, the fabric from the bag doesn't affect the RFID reader. It's thin enough. It's, you know, open. It works. I don't know a whole lot about, you know, what frequencies of this interacts with that and how much power you have, but obviously it's pretty powerful to go through the bag. It could probably go through more layers of stuff too. I think the key to the RFID reader is, yeah, there can't be like too much above it, but it needs to be facing, I think, the right direction, so it like gets hit at the right angle maybe? I don't know. Again, I could be totally wrong about that. There is an antenna though, so I mean obviously like there's like a level of, you know, engineering going on into this thing. It just stinks because you can get like penalties, I think. They're not like too bad, but you can get penalties for, you know, even if you have an account going through without the Easy Pass itself. Because they don't want to rely, they don't necessarily want to rely on the cameras or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, the thing to know is all the express lanes are, if you're new to this, all the express lanes around here are free for motorcycles. So what you want to do is you want to go on the Virginia Easy Pass site if you live in Virginia and get a motorcycle, establish an account, and you'll have to do a credit card, but get a motorcycle only Easy Pass, and it works everywhere. And when you're supposed to be charged, which is, you know, not everywhere that's not the express lanes. Oh yeah, watch this. I mean, I saw it coming, right? But like, that's pretty ridiculous. And again, I kind of boxed myself in. Ooh. I kind of like boxed myself in, right? Yeah, it stinks. I ended up, you know, where can I go, right? Like, I'm in a situation where I'm not really supposed to change lanes. Jeez, it's just annoying, right? But what are you going to do about it, right? It doesn't matter. And that bums me out. There's like 2 sort of incidents in one day. That's 2 more than I want ever. And it's like, I could have probably, I might have had the honk at that big truck. I was actually looking at going around, just getting out of the way, and just being like, screw it, I'll wait till the light changes. I'm not in a hurry. That situation scared me with the truck, for sure, because if someone had made a right-hand turn, right, in there and didn't see me, they just saw the truck and they're thinking, oh, I'll just pull in and honk at the truck, you know, or something crazy. They might just come in there and just like cream me, you know. no fun. Don't want to be in that situation. So I'm glad the guy reversed and let me, get out of there. And the other thing I didn't like was pulling in there. It was one of those situations where you're making a right-hand turn, but there's no turn lane. So you're turning straight off, the through lane, and it's like a 45, 50 mile an hour road, and it's like almost rush hour. And it was a bit earlier then, but it was a little earlier then, but it was still afternoon. Yeah. So what I'm doing here, I remember I'm thinking to myself, this is kind of taking a gamble with if it's going to pay off, get me out of here faster or not, because these lanes here on the left can be, or this lane all the way on the left can be with cash. But this middle one not, but sometimes you can get a little boxed in. If someone pulls up next to you, right, to use that middle one while you're going to the left one, and then there's someone using cash in the left one. Yeah, I've had that happen before, I think in my car, and it was pretty annoying. But what are you gonna do? You go to take the gamble, right, to go to that one, and it's like that's what's gonna happen sometimes. 28's usually kind of an aggressive road in my opinion, especially around here. Because that exit there, as you can see, if you're going from 28th to Innovation, you have to cross like 2 lanes. And then right immediately after Innovation is this next exit, right, Old Ox. And it's pretty normal at this point, right, going up in the Old Ox. But again, like, look at these. There's 2 dashed lanes in the right there, which is kind of crazy. So you end up having to cross 2 lanes from 28 to get on that first Old Ox exit. See here? And then the lane keeps going. And then I think it keeps going here. Like, I think you have to get off from that yeah, see, then if you want to exit the second one, you have to get over, that's normal right there. But then this situation is what I think is really crazy. And this causes a pretty big mess usually. Not like a huge mess, but this is like, if you're riding a motorcycle here, this is a trap. Because first you have this exit here that's exit only, and then next to it is another exit only. So the far right lane exits, and then the lane next to it exits, and then we go from 5 to 3 lanes like really fast. Okay, so that's the first thing that's a little different. So that can throw people off. They're like from out of town, or they forget about it, and they're not paying attention. Right now you have. Yeah, see, you're seeing this is the second exit here, and it's coming up. So now what we have is 3 lanes going straight. And this isn't... Oh, what? It just ended. Where did my last video go? Well, that's no fun. Anyway, yeah, I mean, you have 3 lanes. You go from 5 to 3 lanes real quick. And you have a lot of people merge out from the airport and other places, too, in the evenings. And then on the left, you have Waxpool, and on the right, you have East Church Road. So you have both sides exiting at the same time. It's a little ridiculous, and you can come to a lot of sudden stops there. It's definitely a place you have to watch out, big time. Anyways, guys, I think the video is supposed to end anyways. I know there was one more, so it's just I'm not watching a video, but I think it'll be there for you, so it's a little confusing. But anyways, take care, and as always, think about your riding.